Okay, so tuple tutorial. First, let's review the tuple concept with what you learned already. Okay, you know list, how to create list, how to work with list. You know how to work with dictionary. Okay, so how tuple is different from list? Let's look at that first. So, do you remember how you can create tuple? By simple parenthesis. Okay. So if you put whatever you put inside the parenthesis, that will create tuple. You can try it. So here I'm creating a list. Whatever you put inside the square bracket will create a list that you know. Okay. So and you can just use the index to just access the value. If I want to access all the values, then I can say print the list, and here we are printing the index. Okay. So the same thing, if you want to do it with tuple, instead of square bracket, you have to use parenthesis. And it is also sequential data type. Like list, tuple is also sequential data type. You can say that tuple as a, what to say? It's a limited version of, limited edition of list. It's same as list, like a sequential data type. Elements will be saved one after another. With indexing, you can access it. All those properties are same for both list and tuple. But list has lot more functionality. Tuple has few constraints. We have already discussed the constraints before, right? Tuple has few constraints. Other than that constraint, tuple is same like list. Okay, it's a sequential data type. You don't need to use the same list element. You can try it with any element, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter. Just try to create a tuple. Okay, and then try to access any indexing. Okay, with the index, with specifying the particular index. Okay, so you know how to iterate through list, right? So we're going to do the iteration through tuple. Okay, so create a tuple with numeric value. Like how you will do the iteration using for loop in list. Do the same thing in tuple. So you have this y is the tuple variable, and you're trying to iterate through that. Okay, for I in y. So in the first indexing, 0 indexing, the I value will be 10, and then you are printing the I value. And then in each iteration, the I value will change. So this is how you will iterate through the tuple. So there is no difference. It's exactly same like list. Like list, you can apply the built-in functions of Python, like max, min, sum. So what are the basic built-in functions that comes with Python installation that you can apply in the list? We have seen that in the list tutorial, right? The same thing you can do on tuple. So for example, if you have created this y variable, try to apply any built-in functions on this y variable, max, min, sum. And you can see list, you can apply any built-in functions on the tuple variable. Okay. So next, we're going to see how to do the comparison of tuple versus string, because we're going to check the mutability character. We know that the only difference between the tuple and list is mutable. That means you can access any value and then you can change that value. That means it is mutable. String and tuples are immutable. That means you cannot change the values of string, same as you cannot change the value in the tuple. Okay. So for that, just try creating some list. You can just copy this list, whatever already you have created, and try to change it. Even you can skip this. You don't need to do that. You can skip this, but try to do the mutability check for string and tuple. Because you have done this before, how you can create a list and change the value. You can see I have created the list with 20 and then I'm changing by assigning this value. With this assignment operator, you can change it. But when I do the same thing with string, you can see I'm creating a string variable. And when I try to access the index number 2, that means C, when I try to access it and change it to D, then it will just create the mutability in string error. The same mutability error will appear when you do it in tuple. You can just copy the same whatever you have created, Y or whatever you have already created. Just take that variable and just try to change this variable. I'm trying to change this variable. Okay, and when I try to change it, then it says mutability in tuple error. Okay, so what you learn? List is mutable, but tuple and strings are immutable. Okay, so you have checked the mutability of different type of variables. Are you good? Okay, so next we are going to see, so you learn that there is nothing much you can do with tuple. Like that is, you can create tuple and you cannot, you cannot do anything much other than counting or accessing values. You cannot do any of those, any other thing, right? So what you can do, if you need to do solve any problem, then what you can do, how you can solve the problem. For example, here you can see I'm trying to do the sort. Okay, so here I'm creating another. You don't need to create another, just try to pull the tuple that you have already created and apply the sort function. You can see what it does. It does not have the attribute sort. When you try to use the append, those methods are not at all there. Let's check what are the methods that comes with the tuple package. How can you do that? Use the dir function, directory function. Use dir function. Create a tuple. Either you can use the parenthesis to create the tuple or the function tuple. If you're going to create an empty tuple, then just create a function. And this t is the tuple variable. So now the t is the tuple variable. So we have noticed that you cannot apply what are the things, even though it is same like list, you cannot use those functions that is associated with list, like sort, append, reverse. You cannot do any of those things. Okay, it will say there is no attribute reverse, there is no attribute append. So let's see what are that. Okay, in the tuple. Use the dirt and see how many methods are there. The tuple support only methods. Okay, index and count. It supports only 2. So the maximum thing that you can do with tuple is counting how many elements are there and use the index function to see the value in the particular index. So these are the 2 things that you can do with tuple. Let's try that. Either create a new tuple or just try to access the tuple that you have already created. Okay. And this count doesn't, normally whenever you need to see the number of elements, what operator you will use, what function you will use to check how many elements are there in a particular variable. Which function will help you to count how many elements are there? Which function? Which built-in function will help you? Len function, right? Len function will help you to count how many elements are there, right? So the count function here does not do the counting of total number of elements. If whatever parameter that you pass to that parameter, for example, if you're passing 10, it will see how many times this 10 appears in the given tuple. T dot, tuple dot, the built-in method. That is, count is the method associated with the tuple, okay? And then you're passing this parameter 10. Then what it would say, how many times the given parameter, given value appears in the tuple. So what is the use case of count? It will check how many times a repetition, okay? It's like a histogram, how many times a particular value appears. So that is the use for count method and what the index method will do. So it's literal meaning, index method will get the first occurrence of given value. Okay, for example, 15 is the value means the index of the 15, that is 1, 0, 1. So 15 is there in third index as well, but it will just give the first occurrence. of given parameter. So these are the two methods that is associated with the tuple. Okay, nothing else that you can do with tuple, but how we are going to solve the problem. Okay, let's see that. So for the second parameter, you have to, there are other attributes that you can specify. Let's explore the method. That should be extra attribute that you can specify, like how reverse in the ascending order sort, reverse, true, like that. You have to specify particular value, okay, to do the other index of the other values. Okay, so what is the use of tuple then? It's same like list, but it doesn't let us to do anything other than this count and index. So what is the use case? The main use case is the efficient memory usage and then productivity, security of the data. If you create anything in tuple, then no one can access and change the value. It gives the protection, security. Okay. So if you create something as a tuple in some file, then they have to create new variable to copy that, but they cannot change the value. Okay, it provides the security. And the second thing, it provides efficient memory usage because it's simple and then it is, the structure is very simple. So it is very efficient in terms of memory usage. But I can tell you that in Jupyter Notebook or in a very small problem, problem like this, you cannot, what to say, you will not realize how quick or memory usage, all those things you will not realize. But when you're working on a very big problem in real world problems in a company, then if you work with list and tuple, then you can see the difference in terms of memory usage and efficiency. But as of now, this is the only pros, security and then efficiency in memory storage. Okay, the cons is like, it's like only few restrictions are there, but particular use case only you can use tuple. Okay. Okay. So another important characteristics the tuple has that other data type does not have is assignment. Even list does not have that. Okay. So this is very important characteristics of tuple. What is this? So here XY is tuple. Agree? Is parenthesis. And this is also tuple, which has two elements, right? So these two are tuples. So what happened when you do this assignment, X will automatically get assigned to 4 and Y will automatically get assigned to 5. So you cannot do this in any other data type. Okay, the assignment of multiple variables, assigning multiple variables in the same single line statement is not possible with other data types, other variables. Okay, so this is one advantage. Maybe we are going to solve problems using this characteristics of tuple, okay, which is interesting one. You cannot do it in other data types. We have discussed compared the list versus tuple versus string. Let's see how you can combine the dictionary and tuple. How you can combine the characteristics of the dictionary and how you can combine it with tuple, and then how you can apply to solve real world problem. How you can apply these characteristics to solve real world problem. Okay, so we have seen that the items method. Do you remember this items method from dictionary? What it will do? It will give key and value pair as a tuple. Okay, so we are going to use that characteristics and combine this use case. Here I have created a dictionary with dict method and I have assigned some values to that. Okay, and I'm doing two iterable. I can iterate through that with two iterable variables. Okay, key and v. So far you're familiar with single iteration. Okay, but you can do double iteration when you're dealing with. So in this place, if you have list item, then you can iterate through that with only one single variable. Do you get it? Instead of d dot items, this is d dot items is tuple or what? Tuple, right? So in that place, if you have the list, can you iterate through that list with two variables? No. Okay, indexing 0, 1, 2, 3, that will hold only one single element. Since this is tuple, you can iterate through this tuple with double iteration. One denotes the key, the another one denotes the value. Got it? Yeah. So the double iteration is possible with with the tuple in dictionary. So either if you want to print the key first, or value first, or key second, whatever you want to do, you can just print it in whatever way you want. If you need to do it in simple list, then there are a lot of conversion that is required. But when you combine list and tuple, then things are much more easier for particularly for this mapping. This is called mapping, right? It's not a sequential. Here, key and value mapping. So in these cases, tuple and dictionary combination will work well. Okay, so next we are going to see the one more characteristics of tuple. So we have seen how you can do this assignment operator. Instead of assignment operator, you can even do comparison operator. Okay, so if you replace the assignment operator with some comparison operator, what will be the result? So normally when you have applied this comparison operators with single variable, what will be the result? When you apply the comparison operator with left and right, what is the result of comparison operator? Boolean, true or false, right? And here you have tuple, and you are comparing two tuples here. What do you think? What will be the result? So here 0, 1, 2. Here 5, 1, 2. It says this first tuple is less than the second tuple. How that could be true or false? 0 is less than 5. That is true. 1 is equal. So it will skip it and do the second check. This is also equal. Then it will say, based on this first index, this is less. Okay, it will say true. So if the first index is equal, then it will do the second index. So it will just ignore and move on if the indexes are same, and will do the comparison based on the other elements. Okay, so this kind of comparison you can do with the tuple, because it will just do the comparison from index to index, 0 to 0, 1 to 1, 2 to 2. Okay. So next thing, you can, it doesn't need to be the integer. You can do it for string as well. Here you can see this is Jones and Jones, which is equal. So it will skip and move on to the second index. Sally and Sam. It says that based on this L and M, L value is lesser than M. So based on this, it says that Sally is lesser than Sam. Okay, so this is a string ASCII code is kind of different. Okay, but based on that, it will say it is true. So that is how you can do the comparison and assignment. Okay, so next thing, sorting operation. Okay, how you can use this tuple in sorting operation. For example, let's do it with the dictionary. Let's create a dictionary, and then you can see that when you apply the items, do you want me to stop it? Okay, so I'm creating a dictionary here, and you know that when I do this sorting, when I do this items method, then you know that each and every value will be tuple, but this is different. It will be saved as list of tuple. It will be saved as list of tuple. Okay, so if you need to do sorting, you cannot do the sorting on the tuple, but this is not tuple directly. It is list which has tuple as an element. Now here is the question. Can you do the sorting here in that case? Right? Because it is list. In list, you can do the sorting, right? So if you want to apply sorting on each and every element, this element, then no, you cannot do it because it is tuple. But this one is a tuple which has, sorry, this one is list which has tuple as list element. Okay. In case, you can do sorting by iterating through it. You can iterate with true variable because it has two elements, and then you can do the sorting based on whatever. Here I have done that. We have discussed about sorting in detail in lab and homework, right? There are multiple options are available to do the sorting. Okay, but this is kind of simple. So let's see one more example. So here you have done the sorting based on the indexing. Agree? A, B, C. So the value is A, C, B. When you directly apply the sorting, what do you think? Based on key or based on value? It has done the sorting based on key. Agree? What if you want to do the sorting based on value? Can you do the sorting based on value? Okay. So here I have done where you are going to this what you're doing here. This is the in most cases you'll do the same trick and you solve some problem with tuple. Okay. So when you need to change the values in tuple, then the easy thing is change the tuple to list. Is it possible? Create a list function and whatever, for example, if y has tuple, then pass that y to list method. Then you are creating the list. You have converted the tuple to list. Now you are like any kind of method that is in list and then convert it back to tuple. Easy, right? So you can do those things, whatever you need to do with tuple, convert it to list and then convert it back to tuple. So that is how we are going to solve most of the problems. So for example, this is the first thing that first example for that. You're creating a list, temporary list based on the value. Yeah, whatever here you have passed, see, VK. And then if you pass KV, then it will sort based on key. Here you have done VK. How you are doing it? You have created an empty list and you're iterating through this value. Okay, by how? D dot items will have this tuple. Agree? D dot items will have this tuple. And then you are appending these items one by one in each iteration to the temp. Okay, to temp is that nothing but the list variable. And then you're applying the sorting because in this case, you have kept V first and key second, value first and key second. Okay, it's like you're not directly changing it, but you're just putting it in some other box and do the operation and putting it back. Yes, flipping the order and then putting it back. Okay. Okay, so this is overcoming the rule, not overcoming the rules. It's like doing what you want to do in the method that you can do and then converting it back to tuple. So mostly we will solve the problem in that way. Okay, so if you need to write it as an experienced programmer, you can just do all those things in single line. Are you able to follow this line? Print, sorted, VK, which is tuple. Okay, it's kind of complicated. I would suggest you to stick to this as of now. Okay. So this single line of statement will replace all these things. Okay. Okay. So next we are moving on to application. Okay. So we are going to solve 5 problems in our lab based on the things that you learned in this tuple tutorial. This is one application. So you have to download romeo.txt file from Folio. I have uploaded the Folio session in Folio. You have romeo.txt file in the resources section. You can just see and you can download it. Okay. So what we are going to do in that tuple, in that file. So in that file, we are going to see how many times each file. I'll open the file. So we have to iterate through this file and then we're going to do the histogram. You know the histogram, right? How many times, but is that soft, is that how many times what appears, how many times light. So each and every word, we are going to count how many times each word appears in the file. Okay, that is histogram. We have done the histogram in list and dictionary. Now we are going to do it in tuple. Okay. Counting how many times a particular word appears in the file. Okay, first read a file. And here we are going to combine the dictionary method. Dictionary, list, tuple, we're going to combine everything. Okay, so in this particular example, we're dealing with the list, dictionary, and tuple, all 3. So here we need 2 things, right? One is word and another one is how many times each word appears. So word will be the key and how many times the word appears, that will be the value. You have solved the same problem in list. You can just compare how you did it there and here, okay? So you have created a dictionary, empty dictionary to store this value, key and value. key for word and value for how many times each word appears. So then iterate through each line in the file. And when you apply the split function, then each line, each word will be saved as a list element. What is the result of split method? Split method will create a list. Remember, we have discussed it many times. Split method will create a list. And then we are iterating through the list. Now the words is a list of element. Okay, the first element will be, the first list value will be wet, soft, what, light, like that. How many words are there? That many list elements will be saved in the words. And then, are you familiar with this get method that we have learned in list? Get method, what the get method will do? If the word, if it initially the word is not there in the dictionary that we have created, then it will add 1. It's not there, then it will keep the count as 0. If it finds the word, then it will increase the count value. Have used this method in list. So just recall. Okay. So now we have done the counting. Everything is there as a dictionary. And now we are creating a list data type. Okay, to handle it as a tuple. So this is list, and then counts dot items, which is tuple. Okay, now you can verify this. So in the count dot items, which is the tuple, you're iterating through that with key value pair. Then you're appending. So by using this append method is, let me write it down. Create a new list, and then when you have the list, now you're free to use all the associated methods of list. You don't have any restrictions. So we have a lot of methods available in list. Since we converted this tuple from dictionary to list, now we are free to apply all the methods which is there in the list. So we are applying sort and reverse true. So that will create based on the key value. The sorting will be done on key or value. Value, right? So it will just pick how many times what is the most repeated word? Da, is, and, son. Da, is, and. These 3 words getting repeated 3 times. So based on that, it will get sorted. Okay. If you need to do it based on the least common method, then how can you do that? Simply do the sorted. Just take this attribute reverse equal to true. Then it will just give the least common words. Okay. So this is one application where we have, maybe it may seem confusing. First variable, first file. From the file, we are just iterating through each line, which is a list. And then we are using the split method, which is again a list. From that, we are creating the dictionary because the counts is the dictionary variable. Okay. And then the tuple will be converted to list because we want to use the methods which is there in the list. Okay. Then converting it back to tuple. Okay. So this just gives you overview of how you can combine all the data types that you have learned so far. Okay. But when you solve real world problem, it will be little bit more, you will get more clarity. Okay. So as of now, you're just seeing what are the things possible with each data type. Okay, let's move on to lab